So, guys, this is a good example of corralling the man and not letting him get past the contest. So the guy's taking a mark. Freddie does really well to corral a couple of players. Will Rule comes in as well, doesn't overcommit to the contest, and it forces them to kick over us, which Jono and Adzi and Labs eat up all day. This is an example of why it's important to corral and why it's important not to let them get past the contest and have a free run going inside 50. Although it's not Mickey's fault, he had a really good shepherd put on him. Shows that when they can break past the line and get an overlap, it puts our defenders under a lot of pressure. This is another example similar to one before. It's not our players' fault because they had a good shepherd put on them, but it just shows you when they can get that overlap and get past the contest, it puts the defenders under a lot of pressure. This is an example of kicking to advantage, especially when we've got a one-on-one contest deep in our forward line. Coops does really well to get the ball, but just the positioning of where he placed his kick really put Nath at a disadvantage, and we'll show you what it ended up happening. This next example is about kicking to advantage. Coops does a really good job to get the ball and break out into a bit of space, but the positioning of the kick really wasn't to the forward's advantage, and there was plenty of space to just pop it out for Nath. On the flip side, it's gone to the advantage of UNSW player, and Nath's done a good job to create a 50-50 and bring it to ground, but just a slight to the right kick could have ended a shot on goal. So just to say, all this space here is where we should have popped it in for Nath so he could just hold his man, push and jump at the last minute. But the balls come and it's to UNSW's advantage. Like I said, Nath does a good job to create a 50-50 and bring it to ground. But we had all these players running through. If it was just to Nath's advantage, we would have taken a mark, brought it to ground. We would have had a couple of crumbs right in front. So this next one is about our players kicking the ball and moving the ball really well and lowering the eyes. So UNSW have the mark here. Jano gets in a really good position, chops the mark. He looks short option, lowers his eyes, hits a short kick to Kramers. Kramers pushes back. After a couple of seconds, does the same thing, lowers his eyes, inboard to Kirky. Kirky plays on, and although it wasn't a great kick or the right execution, he played on and tried to create something. So this forces the forward to lead, whereas in majority of the situations, if we were Kirky, we'd take the mark, we'd push back, probably take 5 to 7 seconds, and that allows our opposition to get back and fill that hole because they can tell that we're going to kick it long, and we end up kicking it long to say a 2-on-4, and Rocky or Krams or whoever it is just really can't compete with that. And defenders these days are really good at sort of one player will hold our forward and push them out of position, and it ends up being an uncontested mark, which is why number 7 for UNSW had such easy ball on the weekend, was they really sort of tag teamed us and took a lot of uncontested marks and played on from that. Whereas this really forces the forwards to move and lead because they've got one of our players running at them. So just have a watch. And although the kick wasn't right and UNSW got the ball, because we played on quick, it was a one-on-one situation or a two-on-two situation. So our players are always going to compete well when the ball's on the ground or if it's a one-on-one situation. Whereas if we held it up, it becomes a 4-on-2, and it's really hard to compete and win those contests. So there were one-on-ones all over the ground inside 50, and we've created a stoppage or just nullified them. This next example is how UNSW moved the ball quick and laterally and lowered their eyes and kept our defenders really honest. There's nothing that defenders can do here, but it's more looking at how they did it well and how we could maybe do the same thing. So this guy, he gets a free kick. He pushes off the mark really quickly and plays on straight away. He kicks the ball laterally, and it's shifted, and it's meant that our defenders still have to play a one-on-one. Gives us no time for someone like Jono or Ad to try and chop off leads, and they get a shot on goal from a good inside 50. Whereas on the flip side, if this was us, it was our free kick, a lot of times we'll push back off the mark, soak up 5 to 7 seconds, and that allows all the players to float to where we're generally kicking it. We kick it nice and high, and it just allows people to come over and spoil, take out uncontested marks. So just have a watch. So if you have a look at just as he's taking the mark, if you have a look around, we've got a one-on-one, 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 one-on-one. And it's because of that ball movement, it didn't give any of our defenders a chance to try and sag off and chop it off. They had to stay with their player because they were moving it quick and they weren't sure who they were going to kick it to, and they had to pay respect to the opposition. Whereas if we kick that in long, we've got those 4 players are going to float to a hot spot where we're going to kick it and impact. So this is another example of UNSW playing on or lowering their eyes. So in this situation, I think it's a holding the ball against Coops, and the UNSW player, he plays on and he just goes up, takes off. What this does is it forces the forwards to lead, okay, and it forces one-on-one contests. So our defenders couldn't sag off because they had a player running at them, about to kick it inside 50. So our players had to go one-on-one and respect their man. On the flip, and ends up them nearly taking a mark, and it's a shot on goal. He probably should have taken the mark anyway. But whereas something that the bats would probably do is they take the mark, they push right back off the mark, again, soak up 5 to 7 seconds, and our midfielders might be 10 metres around the ball, maybe leading, maybe just standing there, not looking like they're going to get the ball. So their defenders go, okay, this guy's not going to get the ball. So they naturally sag off and sit right in front of, say, a Kramers or Rorke. And again, we pop it up. It's a loopy ball, and it's to a 4-on-2. And again, our forwards can't really compete with that. And that's when they will nudge us under the ball, take uncontested marks, switch the ball, and they're away. So just have a watch.